All right, very good morning, and yes, thank you first of all to Sam Gituku for that insightful, very organized conversation. It shows that indeed we are ready, or rather he is ready. I don't know about the rest. All right, so in the meantime, between time, thank you so much for making time this Tuesday. So it's time for us to get into conversations and discourse that are affecting you and I, or things that you've seen on your timeline and probably are wondering even how to process it. For some of you might see something, it might be a trigger. For some of you might see something you relate to. Some you might see something you don't understand, and we'll endeavor to try to unpack some of these things for you. Today we want to talk about a very sensitive topic. And just in this week alone, we've seen different, of course, there's the BBC I documentary. There is the case in the UK of Mason Greenwood, different forms of abuse and different conversations. And just by going on the timeline for both of both the documentary and the Mason Greenwood case, you will realize that people have quite, let me try to be nice, an interesting way of arguing or thinking about these things. Perspectives are different, hiding under, of course, the handles, the things that people will say can shock you. So we want to talk about abuse today. Shaz, yes. How you doing?
Missouri.
You good?
Deal.
Yeah. So if you start that way, make sure that's the whole...
Nitafanya.
Hey! Wow. All right, okay. Welcome. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Bobby, how you doing?
I get so excited when you guys. Habari zenu?
Tuko salama.
Mimi niko fiti.
Uko aita.
Yeah,
una feel fresh.
Amazing.
Yes, sir. Shata.
Wagwan.
Mbona umekuja sura?
Sasa ni nini bana wewe? Unataka kuniharibia soko?
Oh,
and you know I am
You're again.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am kinda there and there.
Yes, sir.
But everything nice. Kila kitu Chris.
Yes.
More fire.
More fire.
Wewe je?
Hata mimi niko fire.
Everything best?
Everything Chris.
Kabisa.
Fire kabisa.
So you swimming.
Thank you very much.
Little Bazu.
Yes, sir.
And I'm like, yo. Kijana ako na bahati. Babangu angeniingiza kama maji ya karai pekee. Na ni wakati madhia yuko available. BBB ndani ya karai anakutoa.
And that's it.
Go play.
Let's go. That's it. Poof, in and out. Interesting. Shout out to little Mazu and Mazu. All right, so we want to talk about this topic. I want to start first of all with a section. When we were talking about this, Bobby brought it up. In that documentary, there was a point and a part in it where there was like we'll call it a kamkunji, yeah. Right? And then people were talking about abuse, and I think out of everybody, there was just one guy who stood and said, wait a minute, this is actually wrong. But the bulk of the people were like, yeah, you know, slap them kidogo, do this kidogo. So when it comes to perspective and conversations, that is just, if it was research, that could be like a sample.
Yeah.
There are many people who are like that out there. So do you think that that is why some of this abuse goes on? Because we still have people with those kind of mindsets.
Yeah. Actually, I was hoping you guys would try and maybe explain to us. Because...
Guys as in...
Yeah, like the men.
The men, okay.
Because how we're brought up is very, very fundamentally different. And in my opinion, I feel like men aren't hawalelewi, like they're just left to go out there, you know, and that's very crazy because for them to have such strong opinions against women, where is it stemming from? Like, where is it coming from? Ata sisi as women, like, it's, unless maybe from land experiences and things like that, it's very difficult to find women sitting in a kikao, you know, beat men up, nini. So what is it? Where does it come from? Where does it start from? Is it how you guys are? Is it something that goes across board? Even though mnaongeleshwa mkigrow, is it that that's what other men who are older than you are told? Because I really cannot explain this from the point of view of a woman, because it shocked me. Mm-hmm. It made me feel so scared. My expectations are that men care about us and that they want to protect us and they want to be here for us and, you know, be strong for us. But then I felt so unloved from just that documentary, and that was very, very difficult to watch because how can the people we expect to protect us and to just be there for us with love be so angry at us and be so hateful towards us? That was very, very difficult to watch. So I don't know, maybe you guys can
and
tell
Shatta,
us,
that's the thing, before I go to Shaz. Shatta, that's the other thing, because from what she's saying, so there are two aspects here. On the one hand, you're raised to be provider, unaambia wewe una provider, wewe unafaa protect, you know, the girl child, for lack of a better word, your spouse, your sister, all of that group. But then on the other hand, you have people who are saying, in as much as we are protecting them, we are catering for them, it's okay to slap them around a little bit. That's what basically people are saying. So why do you think there's that imbalance?
Well, what we should start with what is abuse. Unaona? Because others will do it thinking they are loving you. You see, kama huyu mwenye anasema slap kidogo, hajui Kenya anafanya ni wrong. Juu ame grow up akiona ikifanyika kwao, maybe and I feel that is a love language. At if I love you, I will do this so that you stay with me. They don't understand that actually what I am doing is I am being abusive to this person. Unaelewa? So people need first of all to be taught and understand what is abuse. At this level, when I am doing this to my partner, I am actually abusing my partner, not protecting her or loving her or protecting her in any way. Mtu ana feel at say akimcontain, maybe amempiga kidogo, amemcontain kwa nyumba, hiyo ni kumuonesha love, hajamuacha. Unaelewa? So these guys that do these things, kama wase kwa hiyo documentary kwa wanaongea, you could see ignorance written all over. But again, ignorance is no defense. But this, you could see they do not know that what they are talking about is very illegal. Unaona? So hiyo ndo shida iko kubwa na boy child. And again, boy child, yeye akiabuziwa, also pia ajui abuse ni nini. Kwake actually it's banter when you abuse a boy child. It's something to laugh about everywhere. But so yeye pia akifanya kitu kama hiyo hajui anakosea. Juu yeye akifanyiwa watu ucheka. Unaelewa? So we need to first of all sit down and discuss what is abuse. Right.
And you mentioned that there is a story, I think I watched on Sunday Live here, where there was a part in this country where there were 146 recorded cases. Those are the ones, people who have come forth of sodomy, for example. And it was the boys, young boys who are suffering. So again, that's the thing. I guess you don't really know what abuse is. So what would you say, Shaz, if you were to try to help people to pick, okay, this is abuse, how would you kind of define it, for lack of a better word?
So there's so many types of abuse to begin with. So you've got mental abuse, emotional abuse, typical physical abuse, then you've got sexual abuse, then you've got financial abuse, you've got technological abuse. So there's so many different types of abuse, but what people don't recognize is first pointing out who is an abuser.
Right.
Am I in a relationship or getting into a relationship with somebody that could potentially abuse me? And that's where a lot of people don't realize, because an abuser never starts with abusing you. An abuser who's already been abused, who's already hurt inside, who's already broken, who doesn't see a better way to life except manipulation and control, will first start to abuse your environment. And they want to alienate you first. They want to pull you to them and make sure you don't have anyone you can run to and you can turn to. So it starts with, your work environment. It starts with someone who's very jealous. And in the beginning, it seems cute. It seems like this person's calling, they check up on me. I said I'm going out with my friends. They want to make sure I'm home. But in the beginning, it's like, wow, this is a lot of care and love. And you don't realize it because they do it very slowly. And then it slowly becomes, once they've pulled you in with them and they've made sure you don't have a lot of family, you don't have a lot of friends anymore, now they start to verbally pick on you. And it's a way that they bring your self-esteem down, and you don't even realize it. You feel inclined to be there for the abuser, to support them. You see their shortcomings, and you feel, I have to rescue them. So it's starting to recognize the traits of the person you're in a relationship with before you marry them. Because when you do get married, you know, moving from verbal, it's stronger now. Now they don't go out and just slap you and hit you. At first they'll break your phone, they'll throw something around you, they grab you and shake you. They do it to scare you, and they're manipulating you and teaching you very slowly, don't answer me back, I'm in control, I have the last word. They're teaching you, I'm the monopoly in this relationship and you do not question it. And because they've alienated you from anyone you can go back to and say, is this normal? Am I in a healthy relationship or not? Because the other thing they do so cleverly is once they start to physically abuse you, forget psychologically what that does to you and your brain, but they do it in such a way that their apology is almost so perfect that they're on the floor crying on their knees saying sorry to you, and you're the one picking them up. You're the one making everything better and okay. Because they have these steps that not only do they love bomb you at the end, but the apology makes you sort of feel like you could have started the fight. They make you feel you are the problem. You're the reason I'm screaming. You're the reason I'm angry. You do not understand me. And so you start to feel it's me. I'm the reason I'm triggering abuse in this relationship. And so it's being so aware of characteristics and traits of the person you're with and recognizing, are these little flags that are going to be massive if I stay with somebody like this? And that's why it's so important to know the background to the person you're getting into a relationship with. How did you grow up? Makes a very big difference. What was the relationship like with your parents? Getting to know somebody in that kind of a way can allow you to know, do I continue this or not? So there are many, many, many forms of abuse, and financial abuse is one that is truly not discussed, right, but really, really affects a lot of women.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to hopefully get some time to touch on that. But you mentioned something that I just want to ask. So when this is happening, when you describe the abuser, do they do this deliberately, or do they? Is it sometimes they don't even know that they're doing it? How
Both.
Okay.
Both, because I've worked with people who genuinely did not see this was coming on. Right. It's not who they were. There were no traits of that from a younger age, but stress and pressure changed them. I went through it myself personally, so it was very, very tough. But I've also come through it with, Muhammad, who openly speaks about it in order to encourage men to realize how to be and who to be. So I'm very much aware of the steps of it. But a lot of the time, some of the men I have coached, they are repentful to do the work because the wife or the girlfriend has left them. So now it's, I don't just want them back. Who did I become? It's the shock of situations getting me to that. Alcohol abuse, drug abuse, financial abuse I've seen in men is huge because it changes them completely. So you have manipulative, controlling, narcissistic, very aware men and women who will choose their targets. They choose the most sensitive, empathetic person that they can slowly prey on. Remember the analogy of the frog? They change you very slowly. And you have the people who life has just sort of happened to them and they hit you out of frustration and it was an absolute mistake. But either way, at some point it becomes drawing the line. Abuse is abuse. It doesn't matter,
what the reason.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you think, Bobby, the other thing is that, and that's the question you're asking, why some people condone abuse? Because, again, going back to that documentary, and, thank to the BBC for doing it, and there's a question up there. You can also chime in using the hashtag Daybreak and 22422. But why do you think people sort of stay in that? Because like Shah says, you can get an opportunity to see the red flags, but then you have I think Shatta once called it savior mentality, where I think, you know what, I can change this person, or why do you think people stay?
Because without awareness, it's very difficult to even know that you're in an abusive situation. It's only until later when you're out, you're like, oh, I wasn't even allowed to go out with my friends, or I wasn't allowed to pick phone calls, or, you start to notice later. And something that the abusers are very good at is gaslighting, like Shazmin was trying to talk about. You think you know something, but they turn it around so good that in the end, it's you who's apologizing for what they did to you. So it's very difficult if you're not aware for you to notice. Na kama haujui rada, unaanza kufeel ni kama, ni mimi nilimkosea, ni mimi nilimprovoke, akakasirika. It's me who made them hit. I'm just using he because I'm hetero or whatever. But not to say that it's just men who are abusers. Women are very much abusers as well. So it's very difficult kama hauna hiyo awareness. And what gaslighting does is that it keeps you in a loop of confusion. Hauko sure what's real anymore. Hauko sure. Sometimes you even wonder, like, did they hit me? Was their tone indifferent, or am I just imagining
So this
things?
as you're replaying the...
Yes. And so it's very, very difficult for you to be aware. Like, it takes, even if you're a professional, even if you're a psychiatrist, even if you're a whatever you are, that you've had to study all these things, you can be in abuse for a while before you start to notice, oh, this is what they're actually doing to me. So it takes so much awareness. That's why I'm very excited when we get to have these conversations, because it's a bit easier for you to pick up the red flags along the way. Because hautajua tu outrightly ati, that's a narcissist. Right. That's an abusive guy. Because I promise you, abusers do not look like abusers. They do not look, they're the smartest, the kindest, the nicest. And what they do is that they, when they're trying to isolate you as their victim, because they need a constant energy supply, especially narcissists, they need to feed off your energy because their real self, they cannot form real relationships, they cannot form real connections, emotional connections, but they still need this supply. Because as human beings, it's an intrinsic need. The emotional connections, it's very, very intrinsic. So what they do is they get the kindest empath in the room, and they spot them, and they deliberately go for that person, and that person becomes their energy supply. So when they're doing this to you, it's very, very difficult for you to realize that you're in the middle of abuse. So I don't know how we can be able to tell, but I just think awareness, like shinda tu ukirealize, does this make me feel uncomfortable? Anytime I'm hanging out with Shazmin, how do I feel? Am I able to be free? Am I able to be honest? Am I able to speak about my feelings? Am I able to just be myself? And if there's something that holds you from that, ask yourself, why do I feel weird? Why do I feel like I have to hold back? Why do I feel like I cannot be myself? I can't say what I want to say. Most times it's because the person you're doing that with, who makes you uncomfortable, is very, very controlling around you. They always try to control what you eat, how you speak, who you speak to, where you go, what you do. So you find yourself creating defense confidence whereby you hold back from being yourself around them, because they're definitely going to find something smart to say about anything you do, whether it's your outfit, even utavaa leo. Hiyo nywele yako uko sawa kutoka nayo nje. You know, when someone who genuinely thinks that maybe you can do something better will be kinder and nicer about it, and they'll point it out in a more. But someone who is abusive will try to be sneaky and, to make you... So they'll even let you go out looking like that, but the whole time you're out with them, they're like making you feel very uncomfortable. Uko sure? Ay, sasa hiyo top yako. So uko constantly in a mood of kujishuku, because ujui what's real, what's not. You're not sure if their tone with you was right. You're not sure if what they said was out of hate or out of care. Yeah.
And Shanta, the other thing is with abuse as well, for me, what was peculiar, and of course, investigations are ongoing, but with the Mason Greenwood case, for example, he's 20 years old. And if you look at the pictures, if you hear the audio of the things he was saying and allegedly doing, it's disturbing, because I saw an interview with the father saying he's sad, and Mason has been part of our family for 3 years, so they probably started dating when they were 17, and now he's 20. But to see this, of course, we don't know, like Shaz was saying, his background, but to see this happening with people even as young as 20, what do you think is the issue?
Upbringing. Juu kama mzee anasema walianza kudate 3 years ago, that's supposed to be 17 years.
Right.
It means they should have mentored these children. And it means pia wazazi hawako aware of what is happening around. Juu kama Udem alisema it has been happening.
Yes.
Imekuwa tu ikifunikwa na wazazi hawa notice. You know, it means pia hao this girl is still your daughter and she's still young. You need to be aware of what is happening around her all through. It means the parents are also absent in these situations. Ama they have not created an environment where she can come and disclose whatever is happening around her. You know, maybe ana feel pressure. Yeah, you're with a star. So if you come telling your parents that this star is abusing me, they will think you're the problem. You see, people also condone abuse because of what family thinks about. Family will force you to stay with an abusive person as long as they are benefiting from this person.
Right.
You know, maybe this guy has money and your family is a humble background, you know, and they feed from this guy. So when you go home and say, I want to leave this guy, they'll be like, no. You ain't cutting our money chain. See, you go back and behave. That's what they tell you. Behave. And when he comes to talk to your parents, they will see fault in you because he has mastered the art of talking to your parents and showing them your mistakes. Unaget. So you end up, unapitia tu yo shida, you have nowhere to go. Family should be the number one place you step back and say, guys, naumizwa, nisaidieni. Unaona? But if you don't have that family, after going to friends again, friends should be secondary. Unaelewa? That's why I keep telling people, watu wasemanga naongea mbaya, but mimi nasemaga family is not blood. Family is who got you. Unaelewa? Because you have strangers that you call family, and you have strangers that are truly family. You would call a brother saa 8 usiku ukiwa kwa shida na halale. You'd call a friend saa 8 usiku ukiwa kwa shida and they show up. So who's family between the two? Unaelewa? We need to redefine a lot of things. Because I feel the current generation we have, the relationships that we have, you know, zamani, like sema sisi kupanda juu, age-wise,
right,
people are lucky that they have seen relationships that can last for so long. Get from our parents, our grandparents. But with the current generation, I think this concept of forever, happily ever after does not exist. Because that is where the problem starts. You're with this person, they're abusing you, but you think, but I was in another relationship yesterday. If I leave this one and go to another one, what will people say about me? You know, so you end up being with an abuser because you think, uko inje, nitaongewa mbaya. They'll say, I'm hoping, I'm the problem now. I'm jumping from this one to this one. Again, people have not found time to be with themselves and understand their own company and enjoy their own company. You know, if you enjoy your own company and if you are comfortable with yourself, you will not be afraid to be alone. You will not be afraid to walk out of a relationship and say, you know what, I think I'm better off alone. Unajua, you feel that you need someone else to complete you. Unaget, but if you are to be given time to just understand you and enjoy your own company, you won't be afraid of walking out of a relationship and say, you know what, you ain't abusing me anymore. I am not going to encourage you abusing me. Unaona? But there's something I want to talk about.
Right.
Ya vijana. Maboya hapa nje wanapitia abuse. Na for example, kuna with our generation, sahi kupata boya kwa 30 years na hana mtoi ni ngumu sana. Unaona, most of us age yetu from 25 kupanda, unapata chalia kwa na mtoi na mdem. Unaona? So, udem anakupiga proper abuse.
Right.
Proper abuse. Unaona? But you've created a bond with your child so strong. Unaona, that you feel you can't go a day without this child, without seeing this child. Unaelewa? So what you do is you start enduring this abuse for you to be with your child. Unaona? Or your children. So you come home, there's abuse all over. You physically abused, you emotionally abused. Like, she will tell you things in front of the children, but you stay.
Tell the children things
yes, and you stay there because of the children. That you know, at the end of it all, I will get a hug from my daughter before I go to sleep. Or when I'm going to work, she will come and say, Daddy, bye. You see? And you stay there. Or she gets to a point where now you can't be in this house anymore. You still want to be with your child. Now that is the emotional abuse you have now. You want to see your child. You can't see your child. And you are not the problem. Unaona, this child is young. Hata hauna nguvu ya kwenda kotini. But you know, even if you went to court, chances are she will be given the child. Unaona? Na wewe, you want to be in your child's life, but upewe hiyo ruhusa. Unaget? You see that kind of abuse also? It is happening. And now they start following you. They start getting money from you. So you're paying this person. They are abusing you. They will never appreciate you. They will not tell your child anything good about you. Unaget? And you have no one to talk to. Because if you go complaining to people, they tell you, be a man. Be a man. Hiyo ni kazi yako, provide. Na huyo mtoi, hata Obama alirudi Kenya akiwa 44 years. That's what they tell you. Huyo mtoi atakutafuta ukiwa mtu mzima. They forget that this part, you also want to be in this child's life.
Between now and 44.
You know? That is also abuse that men go through and nobody talks about it. Unaget? It is just covered under be a man.
Right. Charles, for such a situation, probably that has described a lot of men. I've seen actually some of those questions that pop up in my DM as well. That. So in such a situation, how does one go about it?
You know, I turn around and I always tell women, and I tell fathers of boys, that the word human ends with the word man. And a man is human, and they also feel different levels of abuse. And you know, what Shatta is talking about is so real, and there are two ways that it ends up happening. You do end up in a relationship with a woman that is just so toxic, and because you're the nice guy, because she can push you, because she knows your weaknesses, you want to stay, and you will not leave because of the children, she'll consistently do that. So she also plays on you very, very well. But there's also the women that now hit, scream, and shout because nothing else is left. Talking politely, trying to get someone to listen, to get them to stop hitting you or stop screaming did not work. So they've learned to also adapt and change in a situation like that. But I think the thing to address is the root cause, which is to talk to parents. Fathers that call names out to the boy. Because that's verbal mental abuse, and telling the boy, you know, harsh names, harsh words, and you're always picking at him for everything he does wrong. You're now raising a boy that's not confident. And when he finds a woman that might see all this amazingness inside of him, it scares him. And he doesn't know how to be anything other than what he's had to be growing up. When you have mothers that are hitting, verbally abusing their children, you grow up as a child, your two parents are the safest place for you to go. Your parents can hit you as a child, but as a child, you still love them and look at them with awe. And that's sad. But you don't realize how you're changing this child. You're either going to raise a woman that will be so submissive and will end up in a relationship thinking, that's what I'm going to attract because that's love. To me, that's normal. Somebody who talks down to me, somebody that doesn't have time for me, somebody that verbally, emotionally, physically abuses me, someone that tortures me by putting little things on my phone to track where I am, is normal because I grew up with that. So I'm not looking for anything better because I've not been conditioned to look for anything better. And it's called the RAS, Reticular Activating System, in the brain. When you want to look to buy a Range Rover, for example, won't you start to notice that car everywhere? Right. So it's the same way when you're bullied and you're tortured as a child. You just look for the norm. You are not thinking, what's a healthy relationship? I'm not going to tolerate that. Hey, I have better self-worth. My self-worth is what my parents have told me my self-worth is going to be. So it's addressing parents to be able to stop calling your children names, stop putting them down, give them a chance if they make a mistake, to be able to sit and say, are you okay? Give the boys a chance to cry. Give them the option. Do you feel like crying? Because now you're going to raise a boy that's going to be tough, that's closed up on emotion, that does not know how to feel, that's going to end up in a relationship that's going to demand emotion because that's what women are. It's going to frustrate them. They don't know how to give that. It results in, I don't know who I am as a man, I'm going to verbally or physically hit you. And the same for a woman. It's a pattern. It's a loop that's not broken until it's broken. So it's addressing abuse from the beginning and then also creating this awareness for people to start to realize, because more people are realizing, more people are picking what is a toxic relationship, what is a healthy relationship. And a healthy relationship doesn't mean everything's crystal clear and it's easy.
Right.
So finding, picking, noting an abuser also starts with being able to say, am I that? Am I doing that to somebody? Could I be emotionally hurting someone and I didn't realize it? Am I physically hitting someone and I shouldn't be doing that? And it might be my reaction, but I also need to stop doing that because I am abusing, even if it is a reaction.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, of course, we want to see, we're welcoming some of your feedback in just a few, in terms of the question that we asked you, why you think people still condone that. But in such a situation as well, that situation Shata has talked about before, it wasn't as, I'll be honest, it wasn't like part of my reality. I'm like, no, just leave. But then now that I have a son, I'm thinking, like, if anybody was to tell me you can't see your son every day, it would be crazy.
But sorry, what's painful about that is nobody recognizes the 2-year-old can tell. Nobody recognizes the 2-year-old can see dad is not okay, mom is not happy. Nobody understands the 4-year-old could hear you two screaming. Nobody understands the 6-year-old doesn't know how to process, is this love, is this not? Because their brain's not activated to do that till like 11 years old. So they're just taking everything in as this is the norm until they can make sense of it when they can. So it's as parents that beautifully say, I want to stay for the sake of the children. But I've talked to enough children that will say, I wish my parents left. So I never sat in a room crying. I never sat in a room so broken. It took my self-confidence away in school because I didn't know, how do I show up in school because this is what I'm dealing with at home? Or I show up in school with a mask, and now I've learned from a young age how to master the act of, hiding depression and sadness. So it's for parents to say, yes, it's beautiful you want to stay, but is it safe to stay? What is your child witnessing? Would it be a healthier environment for them to learn, I live with both parents and I'm safer now?
Right. And so for those who are probably going, so there is, like you said, until 11, but what if, say, Bobby, you're like 18, 19, 20, and you're seeing this, and you now have, for lack of a better word, a voice. What do you think somebody should do if they're in this situation that Shata explained?
Oh, man. What I think someone should do when they're growing up in an abusive situation. Something funny, I was listening just as you were speaking, and when you said that you've talked to enough kids, and everyone had the opinion that, I wish my parents just were chanad. And it's so true because, now we've got so many adults walking around thinking we grew up, we turned out okay. Tuko sawa, si tulichapwa na tuko fiti, si tuli ndo maana tuko vile tuko, and then you see the decisions they're making and the way they're living their lives, and you're like, did you really turn out okay? Because even for me, I grew up in an abusive situation, but it's taken so much time, like it's taken almost all my adulthood, and I'm just 25, of me having to grow and learn and go to therapy, and I'm still repeating some patterns, and I still keep attracting and settling for the things. I actually talk about this in my blog, where it's not even something you say, I'm going to fall in love with a man who's just like my father. It's not like that. It's just you kind of settle for what feels familiar, and then it keeps going. And then at the workplace, because at home you had no confidence growing up, it's easy for you to get bullied at work. It's easy for you to settle for partners who treat you the same way. It becomes a loop. You keep going, you keep going. So you can't even break away from such situations if you do not notice that there's an issue. That's why, like Shata said, you have to spend time with yourself for you to be able to figure out who you are, what you want, your boundaries, what you can accept, and what seems okay. And it's very difficult to make, cold turkey decisions about, I'm going to leave this woman, she's toxic. I have a son, I have to see him every day, but I need to leave this relationship. It's very difficult to make such kind of decisions, but something I can say as someone who's grown from abuse and come out of it, and now I'm way, way happier, you cannot pour from an empty cup. It doesn't matter how old your son is. It doesn't matter how old your children are and what they require. But I promise you, if you're not okay, you're never going to be the parent that they need. Never. So you have to make decisions that are long-term in that you care for yourself enough to know that if you take care of yourself, you take care of everybody else around you. And it's very difficult to make that decision, I promise you. It's not something you wake up and do and say, I've read books, I know psychology, I know I'm being gaslit, I need to be there for... It's not easy, it's not something, but you have to love yourself. That's what will set you apart from someone who stays in such a situation. Like, even when people are having discussions, I've been in enough discussions where people are talking about, mbono dem alibaki, uchali umchapa kila siku, why does she stay? You know, women are dumb, they keep staying. That guy, he keeps going back to that woman. Abuse is very psychological. It's something that affects the functioning of your brain. It's not something that sikitu we unajiekelea tintabaki juu niko na watoi ama nini. It's sickness. It's a sickness. It's sickness that is imposed on you, that changes your chemical imbalance, changes your worldview. It changes so much about you that in the end, after you're done with an abuser, you literally forget who you are, because you've become something and someone completely different from who you were before. And that's why it's very easy for people who've been through abuse to become abusers themselves, because they do not notice the things they're doing, but ni juni familia, ni juni normal for them. Say you are dating a narcissist, and then you come out of this relationship and you're dating other people, you're going to have some traits, some narcissistic traits, and you will not realize it. And someone else will say, hey, that guy's a narcissist, but you cannot see it yourself because it's just how you've been conditioned. It's who you've become from all the stress and the pressure and the experiences that you've been through. So I'd say, whatever decision you decide to make in the situation that you are in that time, of course the decision is always leave, kama unaeza jitoe. But I also have the understanding that it is not that easy, and it is not something that it can be done, but not just like that. But you have to try and make sure that you surround yourself with people who love you, that are going to be able to see it even when you don't. Because when you're in a situation where, when you're with your friends and your friend can point out, hey, Bobby, you're always complaining about work, about that office, you know, just leave. And wewe mwenyewe unaweza kuwa, sitaki kutoka, siezi, nini. But when the people around you are able to notice for you, it also makes it easier. But my decision stands that you cannot pour from an empty cup. Work on yourself, take care of yourself, love yourself, be with yourself, so that when it reaches the point where you want to notice and make decisions, it's not easy, but it's going to be easier than when you're ignorant and have no information at all. Yeah.
All right. So, very deep points there. Shata, I know you want to say something. Well, let me take some feedback. Okay. Let me take some feedback first of what some of you are saying online. We have Engineer Lazaro, exposing abuse in your family, especially when you are a man who's being considered to be the strongest head of the family, is not easy. Anthony Khan says, some ladies from Western Kenya only understand a Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of love. Chapana ndondi mwishowe mna ginene. Hiyo pia ni abuse. Yes, that's a straight answer. Arisa Rogers, unfaithfulness and dishonesty of any nature, be financial, social, gives birth to abuse. Fash 694, sometimes someone's arrogance or taming their character, but that doesn't justify the abuser or the abused for sticking too long till it's too late. McLean Ogweno, in reference to what happened in the UK about Man United player Mason Greenwood and his lover, I may, on my own opinion, underrate how people around the globe understand this issue. We as boy child have realized that no one is interested in understanding us. Greg, Shata is right. What men go through to stay with kids is beyond words. Or Pembe, Shata, talking truth out there, especially as fathers with daughters. Large up, Shata. Why do women go off sometimes for an hour daring their partners to hit them, yet when they do, it becomes a surprise to them? Dixon Jew, I think people don't get to know each other well before getting to any relationship. In some instances, the reason why they would condone abuse is they fear losing partners because of past moments they had together. And again, they got nothing to do having what walijiingiza kwa mtego hawawezi jitoa. Right? That's the last one. All right. Very interesting points there. Shout out watu wanasema, umeongelelea boy child hapo hivyo, and big up yourself. Somebody said there something I didn't agree with, but I called it out. Yes, I did, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. Okay, cool. So
Lower Western.
yes. Yes. But that's the thing I was talking about. In fact, what when I was talking about how feedback is different, even in that case of Mason Greenwood, people are saying all sorts of things. Oh, he was trapped and stuff like that. Or there's also that person who says, why would women dare you to keep on hitting him? And then when you do, it's a surprise. I mean, anyway, it's a complicated issue. What do you think about that?
Question is, why would you stay there for 1 hour?
Exactly, yeah, for 1 hour, yeah. Hit
why
me
would you be
for
there
1
for
hour,
1 hour? People don't know how to react to such situations. You've not been told that if it gets to this point, walk away.
You can walk away, yeah.
Unajua, people don't know that. They're like, car up. Na unajua, hakuna kitu mbaya kama accumulative anger. If I don't know if there's an English word for that, like that, but we can create it anyway. You abused, someone tells you things and tells you things. You are a victim in this situation. Then one day you blow up. You see, you do something, and now you become the perpetrator. You see, you can never justify what you did. You did hit this person. You see, you cannot go telling people it was out of anger. It has been happening. She has been abusing me. He has been abusing me. I did this. You see, people need to know that the formula of yesterday does not necessarily have to solve the problem of today. You know, like if my person was like this yesterday and we were okay and today they have changed, I don't have to force them to become that person of yesterday. You know, your ability to adopt, to change, will keep you moving and will keep you safe. If Roberta is my wife and this is how she's changed, this is who she's become, if what I need to do to be safe is to adopt to that change, how? I can't stay with her the way she is, I walk, you know? Or I can stay with her the way she's become, then I stay. But you can never change anyone. Change has to come from within. And when they change and they've become that person, there's nothing you can do about it. You either stay, knowing this is the person, or walk. If you master the emotion, of adopting to situations, a lot of things will be easy for you. But when you want to force things to remain the way they were, only rocks, and I think they don't even stay for long. At some point, it will break due to soil erosion and everything.
Yeah.
You cannot force people to remain the same. If they change, first of all, when you get into a relationship, understand that fact that someone will change. They might change. They might not change, but they might. And when they do, you better be ready for that change. How so? Do you stay or do you walk? Walking needs to be an option. I keep saying this, and if CJ was here, maybe angekata because it has to do with churches. You see that part that we go to church and they say forever until death do us part. You see, people are taking it literally nowadays. It was not meant to be that. It was meant to be like, I will stick by you, my guy. Whatever the situation will be, you know, get. But right now, people are taking it literally, you know, and they're killing each other. So if I were to me, if it were upon me, I'd say, you change that clause. Just delete it. You know, we will stay together until you change and become someone I can't stay with. Then I will walk. You know, that needs, hata kama tunapeana vows kwa church, that needs to be said. That the day you become someone else, I will walk. And please don't follow me and kill me. Yeah. Because I have told you here, the day you become a person I cannot tolerate or be with, I will walk. Unaona? That needs to be clear to everyone. Because people endure, kama for example, you had a church wedding, which I think is beautiful, mtu asinijukwe vibaya, and you think if I walk, what do people say? I married this girl in church. How am I leaving this girl? I married this man in church, in front of God. How am I leaving this man? You know, iyo pressure inakufuataga nayo. People need to know, I did marry you in church, but you're not taking me to a grave. I still have my life to live, you know. Yeah, and enough.
Someone said you don't get, if you're getting married in church and you live in hell, it don't make no sense.
Yeah, man. Now, to young fathers, our age, that have young boys, please talk to your children. And most of all, be role models. I keep saying that children learn through seeing. Yesterday, I had gone to pick my son. Alikuwa kwa bro. So when we were driving home, amekaa nyuma. Then he told me something. Akanambia, Dad, I'm proud to be your son. Oh. Sasa, I did not know how to react. You see, I did not know how to react to him. Ameniambia amekaa nyuma. So I'm thinking, do I pretend I haven't heard what he said? Or what do I do? And I told him, thank you. And I also told him, I'm very proud that you make me proud and you're proud of yourself when you play football. And the sister was back there. Dad, me too. I'm proud of you being my dad. Sasa nashangaa. How do I react? Nifurukishe kioo ya gari nianze kujifanya naangalia jam.
It was a bit uncomfortable.
Yes, because no one taught me that children can tell me that. It's because there was a situation I had handled, and I think they enjoyed the way I handled it. Unaona? But sasa sisi unaona awaliona sio niliwaambia. They saw what I did and they were proud of the moment. So to young dads, I think that is what you need to do most. Also to young mothers, your daughters are watching you and learning from you. Whatever it is that you're doing to their fathers, they are taking it. And when they become big girls and they are married and they keep coming back home because they've been chased by the husband or something, and they can't be in relationships, and you start asking them, what is wrong with you? I have taught you well, I've told you not to do this and that, but they watched you. You see? And that is the best way for them to learn, is they watch you. Unaona? So every day, if you have a child or if you have someone looking up to you, you best tell yourself that every day. Tell yourself that this person is learning through my actions, not my words. My actions will speak louder than my words, and they are learning from those words. Unaelewa? Right. There is also another abuse. Well, it's not for a big category of people, but you could be in a same level of maybe income with your partner, and Mungu abariki partner wako apate pesa mingi kuliko, or wewe upate pesa mingi, ama maybe fame comes to you, and your partner does not know how to deal with the person you've become, you know, because they're thinking you will leave them, because now they're thinking we are no longer of the same class. He has big money now, or he's a famous person now, and what they do in return is they will start abusing you. They will try pull you down to the level they think they are. So both of you have a responsibility. One is for the one that has been left here to acknowledge that, she's gone here, he's gone here, but I will catch up. You that has gone up here needs to acknowledge that you're up here and try pulling your partner up. You need to meet. Unaget? Yeah. You need to meet somewhere. Ndio pasikue resentment. Because hakuna kitu mbaya kama mtu wako na kuresent na hakuambi. Unaelewa?
All right, wanna wind up, of course it's a broad topic, but Shaz, before, of course, there are two categories of people who is watching and has realized, wait a minute, this has been abuse. What do they do? Then there's somebody who's also watching and has just realized, oh my God, I am the abuser. What do they do?
Well, if you've been abused, it's to find the safety way out. And safety way out is you don't just leave. You don't let your partner know that you're going to leave, because they could do something to you. So you might have so much pressure from people around saying, leave immediately, come stay with us, come stay with your mother. But sometimes the abuser knows where you live, where you're going to go. And depending on what kind of an abuser they are, you have to be so careful. So if it means, you've realized I'm in a relationship where I could lose my life now, and don't wait for physical abuse. So many people turn around and tell me, but she or he hasn't hit me yet. And you are still emotionally breaking down, and you're feeling suicidal and you're feeling depressed. That is abuse. It's a sign to be able to get out, because you're not going to deal with recovery while you're in a toxic environment. Shock comes once you've left. Digesting what has happened to you will only come after you've left, not while you're in it. Awareness now is, I'm being hit, this is wrong, I could die, I need to look after my children, I need to leave. That's the only level you're at. It's fight, flight, or you're in freeze. So find in your community, with the pastor, with elders, talk to them and say, this is what I'm going through, and I need a safety way to be able to get out. This is the plan I'm going to take.
Right.
And so you know that, or the abuser now knows you have people in your life that will back you up. Because the reason they managed to do what they were doing is because they alienated you from everybody. Now they know there are people who will come for them should they cross the line anymore. So don't leave until you feel extremely safe to do it. So if it means you have to stay a day or two, that's okay. But leave the right way. The other thing is, for anyone that's abusing right now, and they've recognized this is what I'm doing, it's very easy to say stop, but you really need to be able to be honorable enough to say, I need to let the people I'm with go. I need to take myself out of this situation and get help and find out why I'm doing the why of what I'm doing. Don't judge the person who is still staying in an abusive relationship, because you don't know what you're doing to that person. You're alienating them from talking to you and being open. When somebody who's being abused, it takes several instances before they leave. Not 7 times to be hit. It could take several years before you realize I've had enough. And so many people I talk to say, I felt so alienated because when I told my mother or my best friend this was happening, they were like, leave, leave, something's wrong if you don't. Now if something happens to you, it's on you. But there's so much that's built up before you have the strength to leave. It's finding the courage that you don't have. So when somebody, comes and talks to you and says, this is what I'm going through, don't pressure them. Tell them you need to get out, but I'm here through that journey. Let's figure a way out that's comfortable for you and whoever else is involved, like the children. But alienating people to feel, I can't talk to you, because now if I talk to you and tell you this is what just happened, you're going to be like, I told you to leave. And you know you can't do it yet.
Right.
So be the patient friend. And I think it starts with parents. Parents recognizing the easy way of slapping my child and the military way of punishment is abuse to a child as well. They don't know how to respond back. They don't know how to say, don't hit me, don't do that. You're raising children that are scared and they're crying and they're going to learn to become the bullies that are going to be abusive to other people. So just be aware consciously of the relationship you're in. And if abuse is abuse, it doesn't matter whether you physically get hit. Abuse is abuse, and you got to be able to choose you. 2022, I've told everyone, has to be the year you come back to yourself and you determine, what am I going to tolerate? Am I going to wait the whole year to tolerate this? And what am I putting an end to now because I matter? And if I financially don't have the means to get out, it's okay. I'll find someone that can buffer me for a while. The safe houses, get somewhere, but get out.
Right. All right, well, we're going to end it there. Abuse, of course, is a conversation that is broad and there are many angles to it. And so we just want to...
Hii topic inafaa kuendelea pa.
Yes. Okay.
Kuna vitu mbili muhimu sana.
Yeah.
Kuna abuser mwenye kuthreaten na suicide.
Right.
When they know you're leaving, they tell you they'll kill themselves. Maybe they have your child. You see? So you're thinking, unajua kwa situation sahi that dem anamwambia, you know you're leaving, but you're thinking this person might hurt my child and herself.
Right.
How do I live with that?
All right. So of course we're gonna
financial abuse.
Yeah.
Financial. We're gonna see if we can do part 2 of this next week, and because there's also some feedback that we haven't got a chance to read. But yeah, we're gonna see if we can do part 2 of it next week. Thank you so much. We hope that the conversation has helped you in one way, shape, or form. And Shaza says in 2022, as it's not just the change of the clock, change of a month, it's a change in you. And the change begins with you. So let's hope that you do that. Successful people look like you. Peace and love.